Edge, how AI empowers agents and improves customer experience. For the next 20 minutes, we're bringing today's learning session directly to our social channels, sharing actionable insights and practical strategies you can start applying right away. Afterward, the full learning experience, including live Q&A, continues exclusively in the BTechly Learning Center. Follow the link in the comments to join us and be part of the conversation. Now, for the exciting part, let's get to know our speakers from Landis, Preston and Paul.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, hi. My name is Preston Martin, as introduced. I'm an account executive here at Landis. And with us today is Paul Martin as well. I'm not going to bury the lead. He is my brother. I'll accept that. Anyway, today we're going to walk you through. We're excited about this. I'm going to let Paul take the lead here and kind of introduce it, and then we'll continue through the subject today. So go ahead, Paul.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Thanks again, everyone. Great to have you here. Excited for the session today. I'm just going to cover real briefly here a little bit of who Landis is, and then we're going to get into the core topic here around AI and how we see it fitting into today's contact center. We're going to share some examples, some use cases that are in production today. So lots of good stuff. Excited to get into it. Landis, for those that are not familiar, we are a Microsoft partner, of course. We are a 30-year organization. We've been at this a long time. And throughout our history, we have worked exclusively with Microsoft to develop products that fit their ecosystem and help fill some of the gaps that Microsoft has. Things like contact center, call recording solutions, attendant consoles, those areas that some environments just need a little bit more functionality. That is what we have focused on. Our products are built from the ground up around Microsoft Teams, which means we obviously are using their APIs. We're integrated into the Microsoft ecosystem, and it just provides a platform that is built specifically for Microsoft Teams environments. This, of course, this building a platform, a contact center around Microsoft and around their APIs allows for really stable back-end architecture, really good uptime, really well-designed architecture that is easy to support and results in great uptimes, great support from the Landis side. And it also, contributes to that quick time to deploy, which is something that is not commonly seen with contact centers. And finally, we deploy this product to a wide range of different types of organizations, from smaller mom and pop shops, if you will, SMB, all the way up to enterprise customers that have built this into their global help desk and global contact centers. As discussed, the main focus today is going to be on the AI components. I want to just for a few minutes here, I want to give just a little bit of an overview of what the Landis platform is. I think a lot of you are familiar, obviously, with contact center solutions, kind of what the gist is of a contact center. I'm going to highlight a few of the areas that Landis is unique and some of the core areas that the Landis contact center platform covers. And then we're going to spend most of the time today talking about the AI components, which has obviously become a very vital part of just about any contact center. So a few things that I wanted to point out on the Landis platform. First of all, we really take the integration seriously. And this is what I've been mentioning with how it's integrated into Microsoft Teams itself and what that integration looks like. Specifically, we are using Microsoft's APIs to embed functionality right into your Teams environment. What this graphic shows is your call traffic never leaves your environment. Everything is embedded there and is, we're using Microsoft APIs to add this functionality right into your environment. So integration into Microsoft, very important. The other thing is integration into the rest of your environment and into the data from within your environment. The contact center covers so many analytics and so much data of how your customers are doing, these touch points with your customers. And we don't want that data to be siloed off from the rest of the environment. So making sure that the systems are communicating back and forth. Agents have all the history of a customer right when they go to answer the phone. All the AI summaries and everything is posted back to the CRM account. Tickets are automatically created. We'll talk a little bit more about this with the AI components, but making sure data is flowing freely and making sure those integration points are in place is really important to getting the most out of any contact center platform that you might have in your environment there. We do cover a variety of different channels within Landis. Obviously, voice is one of them. We also have web chat, SMS, WhatsApp, some social channels. That gives you the capability of providing different touch point possibilities for your customers, different avenues in which they can reach out to you. And as you see, their email is slotted to come to the product here shortly. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the AI component here in a moment, but easily folding in AI features into those various channels. Of course, one of the core the core use cases or reasons why someone might deploy a contact center is for that in-depth analytics and reporting, something that Teams doesn't cover great right out of box, and this platform has a significant amount of that built in. The ability for managers to just with a few clicks see in-depth analytics, how their team is doing, live tracking, things like barge in and listen in and monitoring live wallboards and dashboards, all those proper contact center reporting and analytics tools that you might want. Same goes with the queue management, offering positioning queue announcements, marketing messages, those callback options, breakout options, all those features that make your callers or your customers' time in queue a little bit more pleasant and a little bit more enjoyable. As part of this, we also have a real in-depth IVR and IVA function set built out in Landis. This is a very feature-rich part of the product. The ability to build out chat and voice flows, visual flows that you can really program to do anything you want to. Automated lookups and voice AI agents, things like that. All that is built into the Landis IVR. All right, so that just gives you a little bit of an overview. There's a few other things here that we're not going to get into necessarily today. There's features around quality control, workforce management. Obviously, call recording is an important one. The ability to capture transcription and recording and sentiment from all your conversations. That's an important part of the platform as well. But as I mentioned, and as the title indicates, what we're going to spend most of the time talking about today is the AI and automation components of the contact center, and specifically around this topic of how you get the most value out of deploying AI. We don't want to deploy AI just for the sake of deploying AI. It has to be a value add for your managers, for your agents. Ultimately, it has to be a value add for your customers. And so where do we sit currently with the state of AI in contact centers, and where do we see the most value? And so that's what we want to drill into today. Preston, I'm going to call you back on here and have you kind of take us through this conversation, and excited to see some of the areas where we see practical use cases for AI and how it can assist agents, not necessarily just focused on replacing agents.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am going to bring my screen up here. So AI and automation, first of all, stepping back to how it's implemented within organizations. So let's talk for a little bit. So traditionally, telephony or any of these channels were very human-centric. The call would come in, but it would find based on finding an available agent, routing to that agent, and then they can handle the problem. They can give good customer experiences. And then we have some organizations that are starting to say, okay, and this was not just today, in the last couple of years, saying, how can we pull this AI into the product, into our customer experience a little bit more. And then you have organizations that are saying, we're going all in. We want AI to interact with our clients. We want it to answer questions, all of these things. We find less organizations that are ready for that step. We find a lot of organizations that are interested and want to go in the combination of adding AI to the system. And it's not different than if I am writing an email and I use a Copilot or a similar AI tool, ChatGPT, to help me with wording, or reading a technical document and I don't quite have a grasp of what it's saying, and I ask questions of that document using an AI tool. That's the same concept we're talking about here, but what we're talking about is bringing that to your customer experience. And in some cases, the customer doesn't know that that is happening, that that assistance is happening. So we find that organizations are all on their own track. They're on their own speed of implementing these things, and that's just fine. And we support every step of the way. So we have lots of organizations that are on the traditional side. We have lots of organizations that have implemented some kind of AI tools, and we have a few organizations that are going full AI. We call the middle ground, or where you're assisting, we call it assisted intelligence. That's something we made up, not an official term, but it is the human and AI collaboration. And we're going to be spending some time talking about that today. One of the things that it does is it brings the benefits of having the human element, the human empathy in that task or in that interaction, without fully relying on the AI, and same without fully using up the time and energies of the human side. They're free to focus on what they need to do, and AI can take care of a lot of the tasks that they may have been doing during a call or after a call, those types of things. We find that that improves customer experience. Look, any agent can have a bad day. Even a very experienced agent that's talking on the phone can have just, didn't get enough sleep last night, whatever the case may be. And these AI tools can assist them and make those customer experiences be good on their bad days. The other obvious spot is a brand new agent. We see some organizations have a lot of turnover in these roles that are speaking to customers. They're very important because it's affecting your customer's experience. And if you can use a tool to help that be continued and a smooth process, that we find that to be a great win for organizations. Let's look at some real world impacts. So higher resolution rate, 14% higher first contact resolution. Some organizations, this is really key. Are we handling this problem in the first interaction? Can we get it handled? That's a huge win for customer experience. New agent productivity, I mentioned that, a 34% increase is what we're seeing in the numbers. And then customer satisfaction is higher as well. When the agent is freed up to focus on the things that the agent does best, like showing empathy for what's going on, taking time to listen and truly understand what's going on because they know some of these other tools are working in the background. When you're looking at integrating these tools, you want to identify the inefficiencies and figure out what are these tasks that are repetitive, or what are these things that AI can be good at, and target those things. Those are going to be your easiest spots to make a difference. And then run a pilot, try it. Use some, maybe you don't roll it out organizational wide, maybe you have a small use case, you start there, and then you can refine it and make it better. And these tools have that built in where you can continue to make the tools can continue to get better. You also want a continuous training, and that is on the AI. That's training the AI. It's also training your agents so that they know what to expect, know how it works, but it gives you that ability to make the AI tools better. They need trained as well. And then the seamless data integration. And Paul mentioned this a little bit earlier. When you're talking about your AI talking about your AI integrations with your CRMs or line of business apps of some kind, having that connection is where you get the power. The better the data that the AI tool is utilizing to give its assistance, the better the outcomes are going to be. So if you have lots of bad data or not incomplete answers in the knowledge base that you're looking at, those responses or those assistants that the AI tools are able to do are going to be more incomplete in that case. So that's some of the important parts when you're looking at integrating these tools. Now, let's get to a few demos. I have a few of them. Nothing too crazy here, but I have like three different. I think there's three different ones that I'm going to demo. First one is a reception or operator user. Now, the concept of this is a reception user that is answering a phone and then transferring this call to somebody else. And so they're getting these requests all the time, and they can look up this user. That's no problem. Somebody asks for David, they can start typing in David or have David on a hotkey that they transfer over to. But what if AI could do that work in the background for them? And so that's what I'm going to show here. You're going to hear a short call here.
I could also talk to Wendell if David's not available.
So what you're seeing there is this tool, and I'm going to pause that just to hold that screen. What you're seeing is this tool heard David and it looked it up. And as you'll notice, there were several Davids in the organization. Now, in a large organization with thousands of users, you may need last name for context, and you can ask the caller for that last name, and normally they would be giving it if it's a large organization, and it searches based on whatever information is given. And then you'll notice they said Wendell. Well, Wendell popped up here. It kept David there because David was in the search as well. And so now this user can glance over it and say, okay, I can see Teams presence right here. I can see these things and easily find that and transfer that call over. It's a simple process. But it makes a difference on an agent that's doing this kind of work all day, every day, for their fatigue and for their ability to focus on the task at hand. So that's a simple version of AI assisting. Let's go to a little bit more complex. Let's say that this is instead a support agent. So this is an IT support agent that's taking a call, and I believe we have audio on this one as well. So you see the call pop in here, and you're going to hear just one side of the conversation.
Hi, this is Preston Martin, and I am calling to check if I can get a trial started for the Landis Attendant Console.
Now, what that is doing is a few things. I'm going to pause there again. It is popping up what is the main request of this caller. And also, do we have documentation or resources available that this agent can easily utilize? It also threw a few other things that that you can customize what exactly it's making available. So in this case, the name of the caller. So if you weren't listening, the support agent was doing something else as they answered the call and they failed to note the name properly in their head, put it on their screen. They can glance at it and use that as a support for them. And then a summary of that. And that summary can update as the call goes on. As it gets more complex, it can continue to live update the summary to continue to give that agent context on there. This would be an example of a new agent. You could easily give this information and make them ready for live calls a lot quicker. And then the example of an agent that's not focusing right at the moment, they still have that delivering that consistent customer experience. Now, let's go to one more. We call this the Agent Quality Control Assistant. This one's a little bit more complex. It is going through and analyzing whether or not the agent is meeting the objectives that have been defined for this agent. So similar, you're going to see a call come in here, and I'll let it roll through here.
Hello, thank you for calling Contoso Computer Repair. How can I help?
Yeah, I cracked the screen on my laptop and I need to get that repaired.
Sure. Let's start with your name and email address.
My name is Shannon Martin, and the email you have it under should be shannon@gmail.com.
Great. Thank you for that. And what is the model number that you're looking for?
It is E7506.
Perfect. So yeah, you know what? I see we have an upgraded one.
I'm going to pause there. It continues to go on in the demo of the call. But what this is doing is it's looking at the live transcript. Actually, what the last demo was doing as well. It's looking at the live transcript of that call, and it's grabbing each sentence that they're saying and identifying, here is a checklist of the things that this agent needs to accomplish in this call. And it's checking them off so an agent can easily glance at that list and remember, wait a second, I was supposed to do this, and they can recover instead of hanging up and realizing, I didn't fully complete the task I was supposed to. This is particularly helpful in these highly regulated businesses where a disclosure is required to be made or something like that. It can give you that assurance that your agents are, in fact, accomplishing the tasks that you want them to accomplish. And so it can be the required disclosure, or it can be, how you want the call to flow as far as what all information they need to gather. And then you can see there we have a score going on, the evaluation score. It pulled the email address that the caller said, those types of things. These are a few examples, the 3 different examples that I gave. This is just a custom build out. And when I say custom build out, it's defining what you wanted to see. It's much like a prompt would be that's running against that script and against the transcript and giving this information. So it gives you the ability to fully customize, and this can be custom for each department. This is not something that's difficult to set up. Part of how Landis looks at these tools is it needs to be easy to adapt and easy to modify and easy then to make better and train as you're seeing those things. So those are the 3 demos I wanted to go through. We'll bring Paul back in here for a little bit of discussion. We want to talk a little bit about the different areas in the contact center. So we were focusing mainly on live agent assist, the real time, but there's a lot of other areas that we can go through here. I'll do this next one, and then we'll have Paul do some here. So the AI summaries. Now we're used to this. We see this in, if you're using Teams, you get a Copilot summary, or one of your bots that joins a call and gives you a note taker, good summary. One of the things that this product gives the ability to do is customize what summary it's looking for. So maybe the standard Copilot one would be too verbose. It has, you come off of a call that's 15 minutes long and it has, 2 paragraphs. Nobody's going to glance at that when that customer calls back and read through all that to get context. So maybe what you want is, let me summarize this in 2 sentences, or let me summarize this in 2 sentences and give me the action items that I'm supposed to follow up with. And so that AI summary is really useful then beyond, you can do multiple summaries for different tasks. The other thing our product does, speaking of connecting to the CRM and database, is after the call, you can fire a task where it posts that information back. This gets to the AI assist on the agent side as well. Instead of them spending 5 to 10 minutes after the call updating that CRM that they're supposed to do, or worse yet, they don't, and then you have no context for what happened in that call other than, I can see there was a call on in August 10th, there was a call, but I don't know what they talked about. This can really keep those records up to date. And once again, the better those records are, the better that cohesive customer experience is going to be for these customers that you talk to over and over again. So that's the power of doing that, is you can actually then make your data better. So then your AI is better the next time that customer calls back. Paul, why don't you discuss that next one?
Just to add to that, the AI summaries, this is something that is very straightforward, very basic, something that can be plugged in for any of your team's users within 5 minutes or so. Like, this is such a light lift, something that you can immediately see return on. An agent that is engaged in a conversation can be more focused on that conversation, can be more present in the conversation if they know that there's a detailed AI summary that is going to have all the information they need when the call is completed, and they don't have to be as focused on note-taking and long pauses while they're trying to document. It just helps with their conversation flow, the efficiency, and like Preston mentioned, making sure that the post-call work is never that fun. Obviously, as an agent, I'd rather be helping customers, and so making sure that post-call work is completed correctly and automatically taken care of is a huge benefit. The other thing I'll add, this is available to any user in your team's environment. It does not have to be part of the contact center help desk team. Any user that is spending any time on the phone can have this plugged in for them and have it documented centrally and managed by a manager where they can see that information. So it is something, like I said, very easy to plug in, very easy to see those returns. AI assisted routing. This is another area. I mentioned earlier the Landis IVR, lots of functionality built in to this one. One of the again, we're not necessarily replacing the agents, but we're making better use of the customer's time and allowing them to get to where they need to go in a more efficient manner. One of the examples that we see in production and is a great use case is the education field. We really do a lot of deployment. We support the education field quite regularly. That is a sector that has so many different types of callers, more so than a standard environment typically would. You have, of course, students. You have current enrolled students. You have potential students that are inquiring. You have faculty. You have alumni. You have donors. You have all these different types of caller that is reaching out to the higher ed organization. A 9 menu option or 8 menu option call tree that they need to listen through and shoehorning every caller through that same organization tree doesn't really make sense. We find that people don't, it doesn't lead to a super high success rate. People listen for a little bit, they take a wild guess, they spend the time to listen all the way through the menu because they're not quite sure what menu option their request best falls under, and then they take a wild guess. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. It's just inefficient. Instead, you now have the option of simply greeting the caller and asking them what they're calling about. In a short sentence, tell us why you called today. AI does a really good job at understanding intent, not looking for exact keyword matches, but if they're saying, I'm calling to pay a bill, or I'm calling to inquire about fall classes, however they phrase it, it can understand intent and can say, okay, you need to talk to this team. And again, we're not throwing them into an AI voice bot that tries to answer their questions. That is a potential, depending on the type of request. You could build that in as well. But in this case, the AI assisted route is simply saying, instead of me reading off a bunch of menu options, I'm going to ask you why you're calling. Once I get your answer, I'm going to send you to the appropriate team to take care of that request. So really, again, really simple to implement, something that just immediately kind of levels up that, that experience for your customer. And Preston mentioned earlier about then training the AI. One of the things that you'll find interesting when you simply ask someone why they're calling, instead of giving them menu options, you might hear some things that are interesting. You might hear some repeated phrasing and words and thoughts coming from your customers that you maybe hadn't thought of before. And you can then use that to refine the menu options and refine the categories and the training for the agents so that they're prepared to answer questions correctly. So again, something that is easy to implement and that we've been seeing great returns on. We just finished up a project on a bank not too long ago. The team was, they had a lot of different categories for the bank, and people were calling in, and they were getting the wrong department, and so they implemented something like this to just make that more efficient, lighten the load on the reception team, because everyone was just trying to press 0 and get to an operator and then be routed from there. And so something like this made it a lot more efficient. They did build in some automation that they had tons of callers just, apparently not aware of. Google just wanted to call into the bank to ask what the routing number is. Something that the system can just give them the routing number. Doesn't need to send them to a queue to wait for an agent and waste everyone's time. The system can just say, I can help you with that. Our routing number is this. So that alone filtered off some of the demand, and then from there, just making it more efficient for their customers to get to the right location.
And by the way, those first 3 that we were looking at, all of those are going to, the routing can feel like AI is helping you, but for the most part, all of these are, when you think about the customer experience, it's just assisting to make the system better. It's not, now if you're answering some questions, they'll understand that the AI tool, the IVR, is doing that. But most of those scenarios are just simply making your customer experience better, without, in many cases, without the customer even knowing that the person that they're talking to is being assisted by these tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Copilot agent integrations. So one of our concepts here at Landis is to say, we want to bring the latest tools to work in our system. And so Copilot, Microsoft spends lots of research and development hours on Copilot and making Copilot agents. Some of you all, I'm sure, have developed agents within Copilot Studio or similar tools. What we've done is enabled that so that Copilot agent can interact if you want to. And this would be an example where you're actually taking care of requests directly with that Copilot agent. So picture a web chat. They come in, the Copilot agent grabs that web chat to start. How can I help you? They ask a question. And then you have knowledge base that Copilot is based on. The important thing here is that Copilot has that security and privacy layer built in that you have in Microsoft. So that's all built in, and it has access to what you want it to have access to without, you can define exactly what it's utilizing. So it can answer some questions, and maybe it gets too deep then for the agent to handle. You can quickly transfer over to a human agent who then can see the history of exactly the conversation the whole way through. So passing along context. And this is the same case for the voice side as well. Voice or chat, same deal. You pass along that context so that you don't have the scenario where an agent, the human agent, connects to that interaction and then says, hey, what are you calling about? Or, whatever the case may be. And knowing full well that customer has just said that same information to the AI agent, and now we're asking them again, and it feels like we're not connected at all. These are siloed information, and so it gives you the ability to connect those. So that's a very important part of deploying good AI, is making sure that they're working together well between the human agents and the AI agents.
Yeah, and this is, again, I think what we constantly hear is people haven't deployed these chatbots for a couple of reasons, but one of the main reasons is they're a little bit fearful of the experience of their customers getting caught in an endless loop with an AI agent, which we've all done. It's not a great experience. It's frustrating, where you can tell this AI agent is not authorized to handle a wide range of requests, but it also is not letting me talk to a human that is authorized to do it. So I just kind of go back and forth, and it's giving me basic information that I already know. It can be a frustrating experience. These Copilot agents that are built in Copilot Studio are really easy to incorporate. First of all, incorporate the knowledge that you want them to have. You can connect it to all sorts of knowledge base, articles, FAQ sheets. whatever you want it to address. But then also set those thresholds that it doesn't continually go in a circle. If it picks up on the customer saying, no, that's not what I'm asking, or not getting their question answered, like Preston mentioned, passing it right along to a human and passing along that context makes that experience much, much cleaner. I was just on recently with, I think it was IKEA, looking up an order, went round and round, gave it my order number, it couldn't find it, gave it again, it couldn't find it, passed me to a human. The first thing the human did is ask for my order number. That should not be. We should be able to pass the conversation to a human and have them pick up right where the AI agent left off, see all the previous information, see the information the customer has already shared, and continue that conversation. So this is something that can be incredibly resourceful. Obviously, this also gives you the visibility. One of the things that we also see in environments is there are some cool AI chat tools out there, and some of them make for a good demo. And the sales manager sees a cool demo somewhere, and he's like, that looks like a cool tool. I'm going to plug that in for my team. The help desk manager has a AI bot through the ticketing system that they develop, and they plug that in for their team. And so you have all these different groups that have these chatbots out there. Who is managing all this? Who has visibility over the responses that are happening and can monitor for quality and can monitor the sentiment of the customer and all those types of things? With this, you're pulling everything under the customer experience, the engagement platform, the contact center platform. And whether you have a bot for sales, for support, you could build a resource knowledge bot for your internal employees that they can ping questions off of that is obviously connected to more data. You as a manager have the visibility for everything. You can read through all these conversations, whether it was a human or an AI agent. You can monitor them. You can use those, AI can help you refine those FAQs and the knowledge that it's trained off of to make this bot become more knowledgeable and resourceful as time goes on. But yeah, really easy to implement it here again, and something that is folded right in with the queues and IVRs and finding available agents if it needs to of the core Landis contact center platform.
All right, and the fifth and final one on that list is the looking at the call center analytics. This is very helpful in order to analyze how your call center is performing, whether that's using it to look at what are the items that my agents were not able to handle. So the power of those transcripts, these AI, whether it's a Copilot agent or another way to use AI tools, you can utilize the information and the reporting that we make available gives some really powerful possible outcomes when you're dealing with the kind of the contact center as a whole. Now we're into the supervisor tools a little more than just the customer and agent side.
One really practical use case here, and this really comes back to call recording and transcription, is really what helps feed this. Having calls recorded, and anymore in today's day and age, and this is a perfect example of it, anymore the transcription is almost more valuable than the actual audio file when it comes to call recording and transcription. You have the capability for those transcripts to feed to any database within your environment. So let's one example, and this is actually something we use internally, and we know of our customers using this as well. But feeding transcript to a database internally that has AI Copilot or Microsoft Copilot incorporated. You can then build an agent that is looking at that database and can be a resource for managers that are asking questions. Like Preston just mentioned, what are some objections that my agents have faced? What were the core reasons for canceling that our customers gave in conversations over the last 30 days? Being able to just ask it questions and get insightful answers as a response helps that manager keep tabs with the team, keep tabs with the types of requests that they're getting, the content of these calls. Obviously, there's other metrics. There's quality management, scoring, tags, conversation tags, wrap-up questions. There are other tools that can help with this, but just providing that raw data to an AI model that allows the manager to just ping it and brainstorm, come up with ideas, come up with new training plans, whatever the case may be. That's something that AI has really boosted a manager's productivity and capability there in that regard. One of the other things that you can, just taking a step back to the call center analytics as a whole, one of the services that we offer to any of our current customers, it's free of charge. It's something that we're always eager to do, but Landis has its own AI model built for evaluating contact center data and pulling out key metrics that we might be overlooking when we just scan down over reports. So being able to have your contact center data feed into an AI model and look for consistent agent performance issues, look for time of day queue issues that we're missing on the day-to-day, but inefficiencies with our call flow, a certain part of the IVR flow where we're seeing higher abandoned call rates. All of that data is there within the Landis Contact Center platform, and AI does a really good job at helping bring certain things to our attention that we might be overlooking. So that's a service that we always make available as well.
All right. Kind of wrapping this up, we do want to leave some time for some questions. Where we started with this AI, empower the human agents. That's an important part of the process from where we sit, it certainly looks like that is the best way to enable AI to continue to work in your system and to get some real gains out of it in a real quick and easy way to implement. And you want to, once again, you want to make sure that you're training properly, that you're testing, that you're piloting, but it's a low-hanging fruit, I guess is what they call that. And then, you implement it. You want to make sure that you're keeping your customers in mind. So some of these AI tools are saying, hey, we're going to make our agents more efficient. But if you're ultimately resulting in worse customer experiences, like your example with talking to a large company and the bot is not doing a good job, that's making a worse experience, and your logo is connected to that worse experience. And so always keep the customer in mind, and the customer, that these tools need to be driven by what is going to make a better customer experience. And then look at your outcomes. Be honest about what the outcomes are of the test and what the benefits are, and see where you can make it better and what other areas you may be able to start to handle with some of these AI tools. All right. I think we want to allow a little bit of time for any questions that the audience may have.
Feel free to throw them in the comments, and we can address them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So everyone's watching, please use the chat, just like what Paul mentioned. And let's open the floor now for the Q&A. All right, let me just have a quick look. All right, so what customer experience challenges are best solved by humans, and which are best handled by AI?
So I think the best handled by humans are those unique situations and where a problem has happened. So, and an AI tool can certainly handle a problem in some cases. But when we're talking about assisting the agent, probably the best way to look at it is if a unique human empathy and human reasoning to think through this problem and help this customer through it, then you want to try to pull the human in. It also, if the AI agent is not doing well, that's where you want quickly to be able to recover, not continue to go in this loop of the customer saying agent, representative, whatever. We all remember those original IVRs where we're trying to get through to an agent. And what's the magic word? You never want your customers to be stuck in a loop like that. That's just a bad experience. People talk about it, and they talk about it with your company name. And so that's an important one that you can quickly recover if the AI interaction is not going well.
One thing that I would add to that, Ella, is that question, the answer to that question might vary depending on what time of day it is. There may be certain questions and workflows that we would give to agents if we had agents available, if it's a non-24/7 help desk. But if agents are not available, having an AI agent that can at least assist depending on the nature of the question or basic level questions, gather information and schedule a callback, something like that, that is better than nothing, better than them being told no one's available to help you right now. So it can be a resourceful tool at certain, to again, supporting humans. If we have human agents available, there are rock stars, there are best people. Let's make sure that they are the ones that are the face of our company and handling the request. If they're not available, let's do our best to not send the customer away, feeling like they have no answers. Let's at least attempt to gather information from them and assist them in any way that we can.
Very well said. So what skills will be most important for customer service professionals in an AI-enhanced future?
So 2 things come to mind there. One is be sharp with your problem solving and critical thinking, because that is where you're going to be required in a world where AI is assisting you with the easy task. You're going to have to be good and sharp with those skills. Lots of people and agents are sharp with that because they deal with that, but that's particularly important. And then don't be afraid of the AI collaboration. Sharpen your skills with the AI collaboration. You're going to be involved in this in some way, and make it better. Jensen with NVIDIA, what does he say? AI is not going to take your job. Somebody that's good at using AI will. Or I'm probably butchering his quote, but anyway, the concept that part of this next generation of employees and agents and customer service reps, or whatever line of business you're in, because it spreads out to all, is the ability and the skill to collaborate with AI in your everyday interactions.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Preston and Paul, for answering those questions. Before we wrap, register for the Microsoft 365 Community Conference happening May 4th through 6th in Las Vegas and save $500 with discount code A500. Check the link in the comments to register. We really appreciate you spending time with us, and thank you so much, Preston and Paul, for such an insightful discussion. We hope today's session delivered meaningful insights and practical strategies you can put into actions right away. Have a great day, all.
Thanks,
Thank you,
all.
everyone.